All right, thrill seekers, V Gates, and hello, here ist Brad. And I am in Germany today. This is Munich. It's the rooftop of my friend Annetta's building. And tomorrow I will be heading off to Benediktushof to run a retreat there. I ran a retreat in Lammi, Finland that ended, yesterday? I guess, no, day before yesterday. Very nice retreat. 21 people joined me at the Lammi Zen Center in the middle of the forests and fields of Finland. Almost got run over by a moose. A moose kind of came out in front of our car as I was driving up there, so I thought this really is a dangerous trip. Everybody warned me that, oh, you could be facing danger going on this trip, and yeah, I found some of that danger. That was the moose that almost hit our car. So tomorrow I start the retreat in Benediktushof, and then I'm off to France, and I don't remember where I'm going, but I'm going to put a little thing on the screen which will say where I'm going, so you should be seeing that right now. Those events, I think, are open to the public. You can go to my blog, hardcorezen.info, and there are links there, and you may be able to find an email address where you can ask them how you can go if you happen to be in France and want to go see those. Also, speaking of my blog, I'm putting new stuff on there, and yesterday I put up a new piece called Success is Not Success, and it is from I tried to write a self-help book at one point. I saw these self-help books on the shelves at like Barnes and Nobles and whatever, and I thought they were offering pretty bad advice, and I thought maybe I could make a book that sort of fit into that category. Never finished the book, but I wrote a few chapters and I'm putting them up on my blog. And this last one, Success is Not Success, contains the thrilling story of how I almost became one of the new monkeys. Back in the 80s, they had this TV show. They were going to try to revive the old 60s TV show, The Monkees, with the new monkeys. And I campaigned hard to get on that show, and I came close-ish to getting on the show. At least I had a personal interview with the producers, instead of going to the cattle call thing that they announced on MTV where anybody could go. I went to a special audition. I don't know how close I got because they never called me again after that audition. But anyway, you'll read the story there. I'm also putting new stuff on my podcast, which is called the Hardcore Zen Podcast, and you can find it by just going to Hardcore Zen Podcast on wherever you go look for podcasts. That is the newest one is my talk on the middle day of the session in Lammi, Finland, and it's pretty nice. It's maybe not the most extraordinarily spiritual thing, but we talked about UFOs and sweat and socks, and it was a pretty fun talk, and I put that unedited up on my podcast, so go listen to that. Okay, what am I going to talk about today? I don't know. I've been rereading the book Buddha is the Center of Gravity by Joshu Sasaki lately. I've got it on the very computer that I'm using to make this video with, and it's been one of my favorite books. I know there's a lot of controversy these days about Joshu Sasaki Roshi, and if you want to go find that controversy, you can go on the internet, and it's all over the internet. Somehow this book transcends all of that controversy. I still think it's one of the best books ever written about Buddhist practice. You can get it you can't find the book anywhere anymore. Somebody, last time I mentioned it, said they did find a copy on Amazon that wasn't hundreds of dollars, but really it's way out of print. But there is a copy. If I can remember, I'll put a link down below on the YouTube video if I can remember where to find the link to the PDF of it. But if I can't, you won't find that link. So sorry about that in advance. But I keep thinking about lecturing on some of the quotes from this. So I'm going to read this, just a few of them on this little YouTube video and see where we get with those. Here's one. He's doing this talk at the Lama Foundation, which I don't know exactly what it was, but it was somewhere near Taos, New Mexico. Okay, so that's what he's going to reference in this quote. The Buddha world is something like the Lama Foundation. He's talking about the Buddha world, which is sort of the spiritual world. Spiritual world is kind of the wrong word to use or phrase to use because it gives you an idea of like a spiritual world, but it's not like that. There's the other side of this world, the other side of nothing, I think is what Kobun Chino calls it. And in Buddhism, we do kind of talk about that a little bit, and here he is talking about the Buddha world. He calls it the Buddha world. Can you be in the Buddha world all the time? Can you be in Lama Foundation all the time? You have to go to Taos to shop. Even if you are enlightened, you cannot stay in the Buddha world all the time. After all, you long for the objective world. You always long for the opposite sex or for money. The Buddha world has no longing for love or money. It's dry and tasteless. You don't know how really dry and tasteless the Buddha world is, and you long for it, or for enlightenment, and you say Amen or Namo Amida Butsu, but actually you can't stay in the Buddha world for even one day. One must give up the objective world of tasting, smelling, touching, hearing, and seeing. Spiritual teachers do not tell you how dry and tasteless the Buddha world really is. They only encourage you to get enlightened, to go to the Buddha world or heaven. For this teaching, they get lots of money. If you have money to pay them, you'd better give it to me. That phrase was something that stuck in my mind long after I read the book for the first time, and I really wondered what it meant. But now I think he's right. I think that's the way it is. People laud this experience of enlightenment or awakening, and it is really part of the Buddhist practice and part of the Buddhist teaching, so I don't want to say it's not. But there is this other side, and what real Zen practice is about is balancing between knowing that there is this other side, the other side of nothing, the Buddha world, or enlightenment, or Satori, or whatever you want to call it, which most people don't even know exists. But it really exists. It's real. Heaven is real. Kids, that's the name of a book. It came out in America. Cheesy book. I don't recommend it. But anyway, it is real. But there is this world too, and we have to kind of strike a balance, and I really think that's what Zen is about. Here's another quote from Joshu Sasaki. For after all, you are in a context where you must affirm the human world. You must fall in love, you must earn your living by working. That means you must take responsibility for your human situation. You must have true love. Therefore, don't cheat. Don't miss this day. You must know that this day is Buddha's day. This day is the day that you accomplish your real life. Do your work seriously. You should take responsibility not to waste this day and to work intensely. If you can truly marry this day, then you can experience true love with any man or woman. That is the meaning of having true love, or the center of gravity in the human world. And he talks about the center of gravity. That's another phrase he uses, which is kind of similar to the way he's using the Buddha world, but it's a little different. And he says everyone and everything has the center of gravity. The center of gravity is, well, I just found another quote here as I was scrolling, and here's another quote about the center of gravity. To have the center of gravity is to catch and hold God in your hand. In the human world, it means you must be able to catch the rich, poor, good, evil, beautiful, and ugly all together in your hand as God unifies everything. Hyakujo Osho, he's been commenting on Hyakujo's Fox, a famous old Zen story, which I'll let you go look up for yourself. Hyakujo Osho calls that work the achievement of Daishugyo, great Zen practice. You must grasp God, you must grasp the center of the universe in your hand. If you can manifest in the human world your center of gravity, which unifies everything, rich and poor, beautiful and ugly, good and evil, then you can manifest true self, which is detached from everything rich, poor, beautiful, or ugly. That is called great Zen practice. Real Zen practice is not focused only on holiness or on becoming God or Buddha, nor should you insist only on your human situation. The true Zen practice is to have the center of gravity of the universe and also to have the center of gravity of yourself. Couldn't put it better than that. I really like that. Here's another quote. I think maybe this quote comes before the other one. Anyway, it doesn't matter. They're out of order. Here's another one. Hyakujo Zenji, we've been talking about Hyakujo's Fox, was a very active Zen master in the Tang dynasty about 1200 years ago. At that time, Zen was very popular, and many Zen monks were doing zazen, shikantaza, or great Zen practice. Hyakujo Zenji thought that doing only those practices was one-sided and a denial of the human world. The real Zen is not only Daizen, which the sixth patriarch taught, nor shikantaza, which the sutras talk about, but the practice of not focusing exclusively either on the Buddha world or on the human world. To correct this mistaken practice, Hyakujo Zenji taught that Zen affirms both the human world and the Buddha world. This koan, the Hyakujo's Fox, was created for this teaching. To understand this koan, you must understand the meaning of Daishugyo, great Zen practice. And here's one last quote from Joshu Sasaki. I'm really enjoying this stuff. When that old man was asked, this is part of the story, and go look up the story, but it's fine, I think you can catch it. When that old man was asked, is a Zen master subject to the doctrine of cause and effect, he answered no. But he was reborn again and again as a fox. From morning until night, how many times are you born as a fox or as a cat? You get up in the morning, come to sit in the zendo and become a Zen student. Soon after that, you become a breakfast eater. Then you become a sweeper. Then you go to the outhouse and you become a pooper. I'm cleaning this up a little bit for YouTube. From morning until night, you become a mother, a father, a friend, a lover. You are incarnated as many things. Human beings incarnate in many forms every day. And all that happens in this world, nowhere else but in this world. If you don't see that clearly, you don't understand what the old man was saying. Isn't it enjoyable to become a man and a woman, and then give up being a woman and a man to become a Buddha and the devil, a cat and a fox? That is the form of existence which changes endlessly every day. So I just liked those quotes, and I might talk about them at Benedictus Hof. I think I will. But this idea of balancing the two. I did a little video about the difference between Zen and Advaita, and one thing which I want to ask the Advaita teacher who I'm going to see next week in France is about this, because I feel that the Advaita tradition, which I really admire and I love Nisargadatta Maharaj and his books and things like that, they tend to maybe overemphasize what Joshu Sasaki in this calls the Buddha world, and exiting this world into the Buddha world. There is a little bit of that I find in Nisargadatta Maharaj's teaching, which I always think that might be your one little error, Nisargadatta Maharaj, even though I think he was probably way more enlightened than I am. But he does have this longing for another world. And I think what I've learned from Zen is to try to balance this world and the other world and try to come to terms with that. Because I feel like if you can't be at home in this world, then if you go to the Buddha world, let's use that term, you won't be at home there, and that might cause you to come back to this world just because you can't be at home anywhere and you just keep longing to go back and forth. And maybe what we really want to find is a balance where we are comfortable wherever we are, whether it's this world or the Buddha world or any other world. So that's my message today. As you know by now, if you've watched these videos before, I make most of my living from your donations. You'll see a URL below, which is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is hardcorezen.info/donate. That is where you can find links to my Patreon and PayPal accounts. And those are my main way of making a living. I am getting paid for some of these gigs that I'm doing in Europe, but it's also costing me a lot to get to Europe. So I'm still depending on your donations, even though for one time in the past 2 years, I'm actually getting paid for something. It's the first time in 2 years I've gotten paid for something. Well, not the first time, but the first time more than just a sort of one-off thing here and there. So I do appreciate your donations, because that's where my regular income happens. So, but as I always say, God, a bee just flew in my eye. As I always say, this is offered for free, and so is the bee, so you don't have to pay if you don't want to, so skip it if you don't want to, but I do like those of you who pay. I think he stung me a little bit, or something. He bit me. Anyhow, see you next time. I hope my eyeball doesn't swell up like a lemon. Have a good time all the time. Bye.